So somebody brought this into perspective, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Do you think that maybe what the real issue is that Hollywood and entertainment has been kind of depicting their characters as a certain demographic for so long that now they're kind of trying to play catch up, and the issue is that maybe they're just over pandering and they're over representing, and that's probably why it's looking like it's a whole woke thing? Because that was some brought up to me where they're like, they're just over pandering. Because I see what people say too, and I'm like, you know, you don't always have to have hip hop music for the black characters. Like, we get it, they're black. We don't need rap music to let people know we're black, okay? But do you think it's over pandering and over representation as a way of like them trying to make up for the past of not having representation?
I think maybe on the surface, that's perhaps what they'd like you to believe is going on, but that's not what's really actually going on. What's really actually going on are a myriad of other things that are business related. And it has nothing to do with this is what people want or this is socially responsible. And that's how we feel. It has to do with the ESG and it has to do with the 1976 Copyright Act. And those are the reasons mostly why this phenomenon is happening today. And then you have activists. That's why the corporations are doing it. Then you have activists who are championing it. They're SJWs who are basically performing the task of you know, changing the substance, not even the substance, changing the superficial appearance of these characters, and I guess the substance too, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, because sometimes I see it. Sometimes I see it, and then sometimes because I had a discussion with somebody who we brought that up, and they were like, you know, it's like it seems like they're over pandering, and that's something I was like, yeah, it does feel like that, because like I said, it's like you know, there's certain things where it's like we don't need to focus on the fact that it's a black character. You can visually see with your eyes it is a black character. You don't have to over stereotype just to make us feel included, because trust me, black people don't want that. We don't want to always be represented as a certain demographic with the stereotypes always inserted to make us feel like we're included. Like, we get it. You have a black superhero. Cool. Okay, why the hip-hop music?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see black superheroes being created by black creators and being allowed to be fallible characters. See, the problem is that, you know, again, we know why the corporations are doing this. They're doing this for copyright reasons. They're doing this for ESG, social credit. But why are the creators doing this? Well, mostly they're white creators. They're white liberals. And that is where the pandering comes in. Because if they're making a character, if they use the word representation, like we have this character and this is important for representation. Now Miles Morales, not Miles, but any black character that's new, you know, to the scene, handled by these characters, Miles Morales has the burden of representing an entire race of people as objectified by white people, by white liberals. So, you know, now this character has to be infallible. He has to be perfect. What is he going to be, a dickhead? Is he going to be flawed in some way? Is he going to have problems? No, he's going to be idealized and perfect every single time, because it's white liberals saying, this is what we think of black people, which, by the way, you can spin everything that they do around backwards, because if you actually look at what they're doing with some of these black characters, they're actually commenting on what they think black people really are by doing the opposite of that. Every single time.
I have.
You see gentlemanly like black men who are kind of effeminate, who are blah, blah, blah. What are they saying about black men? Because I don't know too many of those, okay? And I don't think too many black men think of themselves the way that they are presented by white liberals in comics. And you can do that. You can back that up over and over and over again. And just see that the way they present characters, the way they present these representative characters, is how they would like things to be under their control, rather than the way things actually are. And so therefore, if I got Saggy Melonz instead to create a black character, I'm going to get something probably closer to reality, probably something that is that she would find to be close to home.
Are you being hyperbolic about how many stories are written by like white liberals writing these stories about black characters? Is it very prevalent in the comics? Like, well, when they do representation, how you think there's a lot of, you know, it's a lot of the scenario you presented Because there are some representation where they are in the comics industry too, but you feel that's your take. You feel that there's
I see that, mostly it just seems like if you take a stroll through Marvel editorial, DC editorial, listen, I was there. I was there for 20 years. We had a few black people who were editors and they were fired. Women were relegated. Yes. Very few female editors. And when they were relegated to Vertigo or to off-brand kind of DC stuff. And it was strange. It was largely a white male club, DC Comics, in terms of editorial. And they all had the same liberal ideas. At some point, they said, we must be progressive. We got to bring progressivism to comics. I was there. I heard all these conversations. And as somebody who was kind of just in the midst of all of this, living in the fishbowl, I didn't know I was wet. I just kind of went, yeah, I guess this is what we're doing, huh? We're doing, okay, so we're going to do the new Tattooed Man. Let's make him black. Sure. You know what? That's not who Tattooed Man is, but let's do a new Tattooed Man who's black. I was a part of this too. I did the same thing. I did a lot of race swaps when I was working at DC with new characters. And that was just the culture. And we were white. We're just going, well, what do we think black people are? What do we think they want to see in this character? So I've seen it. I know what I'm talking about. I witnessed it firsthand. And then what'll happen is these guys, these white editors, will hire something, they'll create something, and then they'll hire, sometimes a black creative team, now a gay creative team, and this and that, to sort of take what they've already built and run with it. And it is, look, it's still white supremacy, in my opinion. That's white supremacy. Delegating, these jobs out of the goodness of your heart to people of color and gays is white supremacy. You're still in charge, aren't you? You're still the guy pulling all the strings. You're still the guy creating all this stuff. That's actual white supremacy.
You want them more involved with the ground level of a creative instead
step aside. If this is the goal, step aside. All of you crackers, step aside.
Oh, wait.
What?
What was that?
My goodness.
Yes, fight the man. Fight
you sound like an unhinged leftist.
All these crackers, step aside. And if you really care about people of color being represented, let them represent themselves.
That's why I remember you going after Ryan Johnson like that. If you really care so much, step aside. He's always in charge of the projects.
Just step aside. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be you. If it's important that we hear from creators who are people of color, I want to see them create characters, and stop saying representation. No character needs to represent an entire group of people. For superficial reasons. No character should shoulder that burden. They should represent a certain person. They should be an individual. They should have their own flaws, their own personality. That's why Peter Parker worked. Peter Parker worked because he wasn't perfect. And, he made mistakes, and we can relate to those mistakes. We need villains that are complicated, that have motives that are clear. We understand what their motives are, but they're just selfish. They made the wrong choice. They're making the wrong, but we understand them. We can't just have cackling, idiotic villainy, which is what social justice warriors create in comics. We need smart, sophisticated characters that people can relate to. And at the same time, they need to be idealized. And it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky balance. But DC used to walk it very carefully. Now I don't know what happened. Now it just seems like it's not so much that way. There's still good books out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that there's an energy there now that is new and that is not based on telling good stories.
Oh, goddamn! I mean, just to say I believe Ethan when he says he's had those experience when it comes to people of color. Because I've had friends in the industry who've had similar stories about how the executive meetings would, how they would talk about the black talent and the black characters and literally drop N-words with the hard R in those meetings. And I believe it. And these are coming from white people who are I had to walk away from that.
I never heard that, but I never heard anyone use the N-word, but I will say that they meant well.
They might, you know what I mean?
Don't white people always mean well? When they're dominating, exploiting other people. Now I sound like a leftist.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm clipping this out. I'm going to do it as an exposed on Ethan.
Expose on Ethan.
You made the intro. You made the intro, but people made me stop doing it because my intro is too long.
Yeah, they don't know. Intentions if all of them think they have good intentions.
Hard R, no.
Right.
No.
I do think you're being slightly hyperbolic, Ethan, but I do also think that you're also giving some facts from experience that yes, a lot of these characters are being in the past have been created, like you said, white liberals saying, oh, let's get some diversity, and then they after the fact, when it's time to promote, they bring people on, and not even on the integral building blocks of the
people
character.
Of color and gay creators in comics are there to make the white liberals who hire them look good.
I don't want to say that as a blanket statement either, though.
I do. That's exactly what's going on.
That's where I disagree with you. That's where I disagree. Like,
I'm not gonna lie and say I wouldn't doubt it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I've heard stories about these things in the industry alone, and I'm telling you that like some of these companies, they really, I will say this. I'm not trying to be that person, but yeah, they've like heard them basically say, yeah, they use them as shields.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think is a blanket statement all of them there. But
I'm not all of them.
We can't say all of them. Just we're talking about a general attitude. We're not talking about that. Everyone agrees with us. I know some.
Well, yeah. Company. The one thing I completely agree with the anti-SJWs and even Jeremy of Geeks Gamers, where he's actually right about something, is that these companies don't really care. They care about money. So when they say we're caring about diversity and all this, it's really a lot. The majority, yes, there's part of it that they care about, but mostly it's money and.
Well, I would like it if I like that they care about money. They should only care about money, but they should care about my money too, and they should care about the money of the fans and not the money of BlackRock.
I think they're doing good though.
I'm saying that. No, they're currently a lot of their agenda is tied up in. Getting ESG funds from BlackRock hedge fund. I mean, it's more about appealing to a new law that was created by Barack Obama in 2015. His Department of Labor made it so that, employers could invest your 401k, not just in things that were actually profitable, but in things that were socially responsible, and companies that proved, even though they're not profitable, that they're socially responsible. And so that's what they're doing. They're going after that money by making everyone gay and people of color. We're hiring more people of color. They have pie charts. Literally, they put out pamphlets with pie charts showing how many people that work there are of what racial background. It's really not cool.